Medical Center, we, many of you were present in the NCG KCB of Ravina, where we presented our solution, and we, invited, we wanted to understand if you would join us on a, validation study, a formal study to validate this auto segmentation solution that we have. So, Dr. Shantam will take you through the validation study plan, and then we can discuss any doubts or clarifications that you can have. We would be very happy if you can, join this study. We just want to make sure that we know all your doubts and queries, so that we can incorporate it in the study plan, so that as many people as possible can join.
Yeah. So I will share my screen. Right. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So I will start off. So what we are proposing is a prospective multi-center evaluation study to evaluate this DRAW auto segmentation system, which is basically a deep learning based radiotherapy automatic auto segmentation workflow. Now, DRAW is basically a system which is designed to provide a complete auto segmentation solution using open source software, which means that we have developed the training part, inference part, and also the UI part for non-technical system users, so that they can use the system. DRAW in its primitive format has been deployed at Tata Medical Center since 2024, and as of since April 2025 up to 2025, we have segmented more than 2000 cases with it. This is our system architecture, and since we have some people from the IT, please feel free to ask any technical questions that you have in between. So the system sort of lives in between your workflow. Now, usual radiotherapy workflow will be like this. You will have a planning CT which is done. This CT scan will be pushed to either a PACS or a data store, a shared network folder, from where it will be imported into the treatment planning system, and the doctor will perform the segmentation, that is contouring on that CT scan. What our system is it sort of lives in between this process. It does not interfere with your TPS or your scanner at all. What it does is that it lives on a separate desktop computer, which is a very simple desktop computer. It regularly pulls data from this data store at predefined intervals. So it depends on the caseload that you have. In our center, for example, we define it to pull every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes it will query for new data that has come inside this data store. It will copy that data, and then what will it do is that it will automatically attach an auto segmentation template associated with it. Now, what is this auto segmentation template? This is nothing but a text file which tells the auto segmentation systems which structures are to be drawn for which patient. Now, we don't want all structures to be drawn for all patients, so that is why this template method is there. And this template selection and the rule set creation process is something that you can do through the UI, which means a non-technical user can easily do it. It doesn't require any coding. After this thing has been done, the system will de-identify the data. It will strip out identifiers like patient ID, patient name, address, phone number, email, the doctor's name, institution address, and all the study specific unique identifiers. So DICOM has a set of identifiers with each series. So like the study instance ID, series instance ID, SOP instance ID, all of these IDs will be changed by the system. What happens as a practical result is that effectively this DICOM study cannot be used to identify the original patient after this. Following this, the client communicates with a server which is currently located in a cloud server at Bangalore, and it sends across this data over a SSL connection using a bearer token based authentication. After the server receives this data set, it verifies the data set. So what it does is that it calculates a checksum for the data set that it has received. The client sends a checksum when it sends the data set, and if these two checksums match, then only the server takes it forward for processing. For processing, what it does is that it creates a new GPU machine on the cloud, and inside this GPU machine we have all the models as well as the template setup. It typically takes around 4 to 7 minutes depending on the case that you have to complete the segmentation in the GPU. Once the segmentation is done, and the segmentation not only involves segmentation of the different structures but also CTVs as per the template, it will generate a new RT struct file, a structure set file. This is a DICOM file which allows the TPS to read it as a set of contours. Once this is done, this structure set file is sent back to the server by the GPU machine, following which this GPU machine is deleted, which means this data no longer stays there. After this RT struct file has been received by the server, it sends this RT structure file back to the client. What it actually does is that the client polls the server at regular intervals, and when it receives the notification that yes, the RT struct file has been received, it goes and downloads the data from the server. So although the data flow is showing like this, the actual flow is that the client requests the file from the server and downloads from there. So what happens is the server never directly pushes any data into the system which is located inside your network. After the RT structure file has been re-identified by the client, it will be sent back to the PACS, and this re-identification process puts back all those identifiers which were stripped out in the initial step. Once this step is completed, the cloud server deletes the dataset that it has received and also deletes the RT struct that it has received. So we do not retain the data which is being sent at any of the cloud steps. So once this RT structure file has been sent back into the PACS, it is now available to your physicist for import. So by the time an usual workflow happens like this, that after the CT scan has been pushed into this folder, typically in around 15 minutes or so the structure set file arrives. Now for all practical purposes, our physicists import the data set maybe after 30-40 minutes or maybe an hour. So when they actually import the data set, the structure set as well as the CT is available. Now this need not be restricted to CT, although most commonly we use for planning CT. Our system, since we have developed the inference pipeline and we have tested it, we actually offer multimodality segmentation. So now we have MR models, for example. We have models which can use for delineation of physics structure sets and so on. So what is unique with Draw is that it is a very flexible and customizable system. It allows you to create your own rules and adapts to your contouring protocols. It integrates with your usual RT planning workflow. We no longer restrict ourselves to target OARs only. Target volumes are also something that we can do. And our system follows a unique model mart system. So essentially, at the end of the day, we provide you with a shopping cart of models which looks something like this. So this is our Draw website, and in this Draw website, if we go to models, what we have is all of the structures which are currently available. So currently we have around 158 different types of structures across probably around 35 or 40 models. For each structure, we provide you with metrics that were obtained during the validation process. So like what is the average volume that was segmented, what is the dice coefficient, house drop distance and so on. And we also give a brief outline of the delineation information that is there so that you can understand whether this structure is a good fit for you or not. So the system has been designed in such a manner that there may be 3 or 4 different models for segmenting mandible, and you may choose to use any one of those models at one point of time. So coming back to this, so this is a very unique thing which is present in our system. And new models, because we have the complete inference pipeline with us, new models can be added without limitations for us. And practically, if a full data set is available with you, which is curated, we can complete a new model training in less than 1 week. Because we are working on the cloud, cases can be processed parallelly. So essentially, there is very limited time lag. And because we are utilizing GPU resources only on demand, this is a very cost-effective and eco-friendly solution. And finally, it is completely vendor independent because it has no relationship with your TPS. So if your TPS can read the DICOM RT structure set, which it should, then it will work with any TPS. What about the security implications? So the first and foremost thing that we have integrated is the identification of all personal health identifiers. Number two is authentication is done at a client and server level using a bearer token authentication. This bearer token automatically expires at a preset date of 30 days, following which the client refreshes this bearer token using a refresh token. So there is no manual password entry involved at any point of this time. The server access to the GPU machines is also through a secure SSH connection. So this does not happen over the usual HTTPS connection. This happens over a standard SSH connection, and we do not retain any data at the end of the process. So before I go further with the validation study, are there any questions at this point? Yes, please go ahead and ask, please.
Yeah.
Client and tags between are to directly yes for these functions.
Sorry, Dr. Girish, we can't hear you very clearly.
What is the role of client and tags in the system? Can't we do the TPS for that?
Okay, so why we decided to adopt this architecture is because we wanted to be not dependent on your TPS. Now the problem with any TPS is that if you install a third party software into your TPS, you can instantly void any warranty and guarantee that is provided with the TPS system. So our system is completely separate and independent from the TPS. And regarding your PACS, it is not necessary that you have PACS in the hospital. We need a shared drive where the imaging data is put after the imaging is acquired, which happens for you anyway, because even if you don't have a PACS, your CT is getting imported from somewhere, right? It has a place where the CT files are being stored, and from there it will come inside the TPS. So the client machine is necessary so that we are completely independent from your TPS. Am I making myself clear?
Girish, basically in every department, what happens is that once the CT scan is done, automatically there is a designated folder in the network into which the CT scan will be sent, right? Now in some case, and this folder in the network is your physics team will know which folder that is, right? So all that needs to be done is that our client needs to know where the folder is, and once it is pointed to that folder, it will pull the any new CT scan that comes into that folder automatically into the client. By client we mean a program. I think sometimes these terminologies can be confusing. A client is this application that is going to sit, that is going to be installed in one computer that you designate, which will run this program. This program will then access that folder and will bring it in. Now the exact location of that shared folder, of that network folder, may be slightly different depending on your TPS, depending on your specific hospital IT network. Okay, so that is the only place when we need your IT team or your physics team to point or to tell us where it is. And it is always connected to the network because your TPS is pulling the data, right? So it is always connected to your hospital network. So all you need to do is tell or point inside the client, and there will be a field inside the software where you will write or type in what is the network folder in which your CT scan comes in. Now I would like to add that it is entirely possible that your IT team or your physics team may say that, look, do we really need to give access to this folder? Okay. Now, for the purpose of the validation study, in the normal scheme of things, yes, like in our hospital, we have access to that folder so that the whole process is streamlined. It just goes on and on. we don't need to worry about it. But if you feel that your IT team or your physics team needs to have some reassurance that this particular folder is not access to a particular folder is not creating a problem, initially you can manually say designate a different folder and
Just
put some
copy.
of your files manually in that folder. So your actual folder we do not touch. Okay. You put them manually in that folder and you can test the workflow. You can check whether it is pulling, whether it is returning, etc. etc. So your security is in your hands. You don't have to worry about it. You just tell us the location of any folder where your files will come, and we can test our system so that to see whether it is pulling and pulling the file and putting back the RT structure file.
Basically, this
Right,
configuration is necessary so that the RT-struct file is available with the CT dataset. Otherwise, what happens if we just keep the RT-struct in a separate location? Somebody will have to go to that folder, pull it, and that's what. Otherwise, there is no other requirement.
Yes. So
Dr. Anna has a question, and then TMH IT also has a question.
So I have two questions. Dr. Shantam, if you can go back to that architecture diagram, please.
Yes, please. Is the screen visible? Wait, I will share my screen once more. Right. Can you see it?
Yes.
Ah.
So here, when you described about the template selection, and you also mentioned that there are different models that are possible. So is there a mechanism where you allow which model you want to choose from? Because from the template, you are just going to say that
Yes.
it's
So-
going to say I want to contour the mandible, but I have three separate models that I can choose from.
Yes.
Is there
Yes.
a place where you're going
Yes,
to
yes,
choose
yes.
which
So this
model
interface is provided in your client itself. So the client actually gets, so you saw this table, na? Just wait, let me go back. This table that you see,
Yeah.
this table is accessible in a slightly abbreviated format in your client, and this is always active, which means whatever models we have validated upon and we have said that this is okay for use, they will always be immediately visible to you on the client, which also means that suppose today I retrain this model number 301, which is training the eye left, right? Once I finish and I complete the validation and make it active, you will get the benefit of the new model without needing to do anything more. You won't need to touch the system essentially. It will automatically generate the next structure set using that new model.
Hannah, were you there for the webinar?
No, I was not there for the
Yeah,
webinar.
so we'll send you a video. We'll send everyone, in fact, a video of that webinar or part of that webinar, where Dr. Shantam has demonstrated how that template is created and used. Okay, so it's a pretty organic way where what happens is that when you do the CT scan, you generally on the CT scanner you put a tag, a DICOM tag on a protocol or something like that, right? So you can decide in your department that I am going to contour on the basis of the name written in the protocol name. Okay, for example, I'm taking an example. There are many other things that you can choose, but say suppose you choose that the protocol name will determine what structures will get segmented. Right? So what you will do in the template creation, you create a template which first looks for the protocol name. And if the protocol name is, say, cervix post-op, I'm just saying, yeah, you can create a template for cervix post-op where 10 structures are automatically segmented. So your protocol name cervix post-op is linked to specifically 10 selected structures, and you can select those. And they will create a full template. So when the client sees that a new scan has come into that particular folder, it picks up the scan and looks at the protocol name. if it finds the protocol name cervix postdoc, it automatically tags a JSON file to the CT images in a particular folder, and that JSON file says this is cervix postdoc onto these 10 structures. And this JSON file goes along with the image files into the cloud server. The cloud server knows which ones to auto segment, will auto segment those and send it back. Now you can change those templates. You can, today you want a particular set of 10 structures for cervix postdoc. A month later you want 2 more structures. So you just change the template, the cervix postdoc template gets changed, and these 2 structures will then come in. Okay, so once you see the video, I think this will become clearer.
Okay, the second question, Dr. Hanna, before we go to TMHIT.
Yeah, if you can go back to the slides.
Yes.
So when the RT structure comes back from the GPU, it comes to the server. You said it, it's retrieving the RT structure. So it should have some sort of an SOP instance ID that it is mapping back to, because then that's how it knows that this is the CT that it was initially with, and it needs to come back with that.
Yes, that happens at the client level, not at the server level.
The server's level.
Yes.
At the server level, you have only RT structure, or you have both CT and RT structure?
We don't care about the CT once it has been sent. We just care about the structure set file. The thing is that for each case, we actually spin up a single GPU machine. So that means that once that case has been done, we delete the GPU. As a result, what happens is that machine is no longer used for any other case. So our system doesn't really need to check whether that structure set is coming from this CT or not.
Was that the question that you were asking?
No, I think I'm not very clear about the mapping part of it, but I think probably I'll look at the webinar and get back to you on that, because I feel at any point if there is a there's some part of it that is missing, that has not been sent back, then it becomes an issue to map which RT structure resides with which CT.
Yes, that's correct.
That is
that's
a problem
correct.
that I'm
So
seeing.
that is the part that is handled by the client when it re-identifies, not at the server level. Because at the server level, we don't have identifying information anyway, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So
Now,
at the client level, once it de-identifies, what happens is it gets assigned a new SOP instance ID, for example, right? So when the structure set comes back, it comes back with this changed SOP instance ID. It is then mapped back to the actual patient, and it gets re-identified. So no identification ever leaves the client at all. So all the patient information stops in your hospital. But we can describe this to you in more detail,
Sure.
later on. Yeah.
Okay.
So the TMHIT team has some questions.
Yeah, can you just go back to the this same architecture slide?
yes.
Yeah. So you said that there is a disk sharing which happens between the PACS machine and the client, is it?
Network folder sharing, right? There is a network. So this will be a network folder which is shared. The client will need to have access to this network folder.
And this happens in the same trust boundary, right? This is
Yes, so this is completely within your network. It is following your proxy and your firewall.
okay. And as you said that the instances of the GPU machines are once the processing is over, you essentially destroy the GPU machine.
Yes, so these are virtual GPU machines. So
Okay.
effectively, just we delete the whole thing.
So the other question is that does it have any federated learning?
No, not at this stage. Which
Not
means
at-
that we are not using your data for training the model unless you send us a curated data set. See, what happens is when this CT scan comes to us, it does not have any structure which it can be used to train on, right? It is like a CT scan. It is of no use for us for training. To train, we actually need structure sets on it. So we cannot train on our generated structure set. That makes no sense. So what we actually will offer as a part of this project also is that suppose when we go into the details of the validation process, suppose you are not happy with the performance of a particular model. It is entirely possible your CT is being acquired in a different manner, the model is not performing well. We can actually train a model specifically for you, but then that case we will require a data set from you which has the structure set and CT and is de-identified and curated by you. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And the other question is that this identification and the de-identification and re-identification.
Yes.
So what is the I would not say methodology. I would say that how do you essentially secure it?
How do we secure it? Okay.
Yeah, on the client side, the identification process is known.
Yes.
So, what is the way that you protect that the identification process is not known in the cloud?
Okay. So what happens is when what does the cloud receive actually? That we need to know, right?
Yeah.
The cloud actually receives a zip file which contains the DICOM dataset along with that auto segmentation template, right?
Okay.
And a checksum. So these are sent as standard API requests. Like this is a post request that is sent to the server.
So do you believe in checksum? Still in this age?
Well, that is the basic minimum validation that we will keep.
No. What I mean is this checksum is too weak, right?
If you think there is a better or more stronger and more robust validation, we would be happy to integrate it if it helps the process. Yes.
Go ahead, please. So you said that this de-identification is essentially protected from the
Yes.
cloud.
What I mean to say that the server cannot make any request to your client to know the ID. Let me put
Yes.
it this way. The client is not an API provider.
Yeah.
The client is an API consumer.
Yeah. Essentially, in the application, it is unidirectional.
Yes, it is always. So what happens is when the structure set gets sent back, although the arrow is pointing in that direction, the actual process is reverse. The client actually polls the server to find out whether the structure set is ready or not. So it does that say every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And after the server replies back that yes, done, then it sends a separate GET request to get that RT-struct file.
And other question is that the cloud services that you use, that is essentially it is Mighty empaneled.
Mighty empaneled. Now it is DigitalOcean. I don't know whether that is Mighty empaneled or not.
No, the reason is that why I'm asking this question is that since there is a data which is going on to the cloud, and typically any health related data should not go outside the logical boundary of the country. So the question remains is that whether this is essentially a Government of India notified cloud.
Okay, so see, we don't have access to a Government of India notified cloud as of yet.
No,
but
again, even if you see AWS, AWS is essentially is Mighty empaneled.
We can shift to AWS. Our system doesn't rely on DigitalOcean. Let me put it this way: it would probably take me a day's work to get it sent to AWS. It's like that.
Yeah, fair. So I'm asking this question just to see that we do not.
No. If we would be very happy to have these inputs from your side, because if you say that it is a Mighty empaneled cloud, AWS is a perfectly fine cloud service provider for us. We use DigitalOcean because it is simple to use. That's all. Otherwise, there is no reason to use DigitalOcean.
So maybe you can just.
There is no problem. You tell us what are the Mighty empaneled server providers, cloud server providers are. We will be very happy to move to that server provider, and we may in fact find that DigitalOcean is one of the empaneled providers. We have no idea. So if you can tell us how to locate or you can give us a list of the empaneled providers, we will move there. There is no problem at all.
Yeah, that can be given. Probably you can also check that whether it is Mighty empaneled, your own problem.
Where do we check that?
So it is available in the Mighty website.
Acha, okay. Girish has mentioned something like ESDS is mighty empaneled. What is ESDS?
It's the name of the company which is providing cloud solutions. It's
Acha.
based on the- so I know that.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Cloud services.
We also have to look whether they provide a GPU or not, because the GPU needs to be provided as service for that. Just providing a VPS will not help.
I think that is one of the most important reasons that why you have gone for this particular cloud.
No, AWS also provides this thing. AWS is a little difficult to manage, that's all. You know how it is, right? It is a little bit more cumbersome. The DigitalOcean is extremely simple.
Okay. So just check that digital, this whatever cloud that you are using.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do
solution
that.
is much
Yeah.
more simpler than that.
Yeah, yeah.
Really cool.
So what you mean to say, if you have a mighty empaneled solution, it will be easier for you to propose this as a solution, correct?
Yeah, it remains easier for us. Isn't it?
Understood,
I
understood.
think it's true
We
for
will
everybody.
definitely look into
Everybody
it. We will definitely
I
look into
think
it.
Dr. Chakraborty, this will be true for everybody in the health business that we should use a mighty empanel cloud for our.
No problem, no problem. We will definitely look into it and we will see how many. It shouldn't take us much time to migrate, honestly speaking, if it is required.
Just one question remains in my mind is that you talked about this protecting these APIs. Yeah, that that you talked about this VR protocol.
Bearer token.
VR token.
Yeah.
Can you just go back to this and then just explain that what exactly it is?
So there is a JSON JWT bearer token which is issued by the server. So what happens is, suppose when we register a new client, so suppose when the client is installed at your service, what we will do is that we will ask you to register your client onto the server. So the server gives out a bearer token, like you have these personal access tokens in any cloud service provider. Similar to that. So that bearer token you will put into your client, and once you have copied and pasted, it is no longer visible to anyone after that. And then there is a refresh token which is provided. What the refresh token does is that every 30 days it will refresh the bearer token. The refresh token itself is valid for 1 year. So after 1 year you will have to manually put back the bearer token and refresh token again. Is this what you are looking for?
No, it's fine. I think I understood. Only thing is that I understood that this bearer token needs to be refreshed manually.
No, the bearer token means the refresh token needs to be manually
Yeah,
refreshed
yeah,
after a
fine.
year, but the bearer token will automatically get refreshed every 30 days.
Yeah. So
It's a configurable interval also, means if you want to make it smaller you can. I don't know why you would, but you can make it smaller.
Yeah. Okay.
So for example, the purpose it serves is that, say suppose, somebody can't just install the client in there. Say suppose, when the client related files get sent to you, you cannot share it with your friend. And because that will have to be registered into our system.
Server, yeah.
So there is no chance of an unauthorized user starting to use a new installation of the client.
Yeah, fine. I think I understood. The only question, I have one more question is that does it require any kind of, this is typically to ask, I would say that I would like to understand that is there a kind of MOU requirement between Tata Memorial Center and Tata Memorial's hospital here?
Yes,
It
would have a study agreement. No?
Tata Medical Center, right?
Yes, we are
Yeah.
Tata Medical Center.
Tata Medical Center and Tata Memorial Center.
Yeah, we would need a study agreement definitely, because in the validation study without a MOU, how will we proceed?
Yeah, I just want to know the procedure that how it will go about.
Yeah, of course, it would require an IRB approval also.
Yes. So then it's fine.
Yeah.
I think technically we understood that it is a good solution, and then it's a very interesting way that you are trying to target this.
Thank you. Dr.
Thank you.
Sarvani
And
also has a
thank you
question.
for mentioning the mighty enabled thing, because we weren't aware. So we
Yeah.
make sure that it is done.
Dr. Sarvani, you have question,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, thanks, Santa, for addressing these issues from our IT So I just like to add to what Santam and Indranil have already said, that we will participate in the project only after undergoing the necessary regulatory approvals,
Yeah.
which includes the IEC approval, as well as the IEC also would look into the legality of the protocol. So rest assured there we will go through all these things before we actually participate. So don't worry, but I would request IEC to kind of settle any doubts if they have anything, asking Santam and Indranil their doubts, because I think that is very important for us to be able to participate wholeheartedly in the project.
Yeah, absolutely. We would be very happy to address these doubts, and we are very open to suggestions that you may have to improving and securing this system. We would be absolutely thrilled to have your suggestions. So if there are no other IT related questions, then I will go into the validation study now. So the validation study plan is a prospective multi-center cohort study. We expect it will take around 2 years, considering every installation and all those things, and we have about 1000 cases as a total sample size. This is the work plan, that for each center we will have an orientation and a sample selection phase, about 2 weeks, where we will basically train you on the system, orient you on the system, followed by a 2 weeks period for installation and end-to-end testing, so that we actually make sure that the DICOM data is being transferred in proper de-identification, and is being retrieved back with proper manner, and is being sent to the place where it is meant to be sent. Then we will have a pilot testing of segmentation phase, where we will be doing segmentation for maybe 10-15 cases as per your choice of each anatomical region that you want to. Again, it is not necessary that every anatomical region has to participate. Based on the center preference, we can have 1 site, we can have 10 sites. It is perfectly flexible. So once these 10 segments have been reviewed by the local PI and the local consultant, they will tell us whether they are happy with this, whether they want to improve something, whether they don't want to improve something. And if they want to improve something, we would be very happy to train a new custom model for them, or maybe we can even accumulate data and train a single model which works across multiple sites. Then there will be the validation part, which will have 2 parts, a qualitative and a quantitative validation. We expect that will take about maybe 6 to 24 months. So the implementation objective is pretty simple, that we want to configure and install the client at your end. The validation objective is that at least 50% of the cases are segmented with no or minor modifications, as determined qualitatively by the end user. We are not prescribing a threshold or margin or distance and things like that. Because all of you are expert radiation oncologists, we want you to tell us whether you think whether this modification required was a major modification, a minor modification, or was it no modification was needed. And the quantitative metric is at least 70% of the segmented structures should have an average volumetric dissimilarity score, which is not less than 0.1 points with respect to the reference dissimilarity, which we will obtain using a literature review. So the qualitative validation is that each case will be auto-segmented by the draw system. Your structure set which you get from this auto-segmented system, we will request that you copy it into a new structure set file. You don't modify that original one, you modify the copied one, make the edits and modifications whatever you want to make on this, judge the quality of the contour on a simple pro forma, and once this is done, send it back to us. For the quantitative validation, we will need that these 2 structure sets, the auto-segmented and the manually modified ones, are to be de-identified, and we will provide you with a de-identification solution for this. This is different from the client that we have installed. And once the quantitative metrics have been computed per structure, we will report on the various metrics like the house drop distance, dissimilarity, mean distance to conformity, etc. etc. This will be done programmatically. So we will probably run it across maybe like 1000 cases at one time or something like that. These are our sample size considerations. For the quantitative validation, we target that at least 70% of the structures should have a VDS no less than 0.1 points as compared to the reference standard. And assuming that each case is around 15 structures segmented, this is what our internal thing is. We think an average sample size of 1000 cases and 15,000 structures will provide us with an absolute precision of less than 1% and 99% confidence to estimate this proportion. Now, why we decided on this high threshold is because each patient will have multiple structures, and this precision actually gives us a robust estimate. The study management team will be formed by at least one site principal investigator from each center. If you have more, we would be very happy to accommodate. And if you are following a disease management group approach, please have multiple disease specific PIs, because each PI will need to give us the qualitative feedback. All authors, all investigators will be part of this Draw Me author group, and the draw authorship order, we will do it on the number of cases contributed by the participating center. If there is a tie, alphabetical ordering. And principal investigator of the protocol will be designated as the corresponding authors. We would need your IRB approval, and if there is no local ethics, then at least an administrative approval is required for informed consent. The desktop specifications are as we suggest. This is very basic desktop, like an i3 desktop with 8GB DDR4, which will basically have virtualization support, because if you have Unix system, we don't need virtualization. But if you have Windows system, we would prefer to have virtualization, because we will install it on Docker. And of course, network shared folder access. So thank you. That is basically the nutshell, the validation study plan. If you have any questions, I think there was some chat message. Let me read that. E2E networks, Tata Communication and Oracle Cloud. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Girish. We will go through them and we will find out. Tata Communications probably may be the easiest one ultimately. Yes, Dr. Balu, please go ahead.
Hi, Shantanu, thanks for doing this for all of us. The validation part is a prospective
Yes.
patients who are getting recruited.
Yeah.
I know you would have thought about it. Why did you go with the existing database that all institutions will have?
Because you know, your existing database is quite likely to have cases which have not been segmented in the manner that the auto segmentation model will work on. It is entirely possible. It is perfectly fine to do it in the old cases, but what we have experienced from our old cases is that when we curate the data set for, you know, like model training, we understand that every old case we need to spend almost an equal amount of time making sure everything is cleaned up, everything is fine before putting it back into, you know, model training.
Okay, so I just want a little more clarity on that. So what if I delete the entire data set and give you the CT scan, and then you give me the model, and I compare the model and compare the like similarity between what I have drawn,
No problem.
the previous one,
No,
with
sir.
what
No,
your
sir.
system is giving. That would be a gold standard, no? Because the other way you are evaluating the validation is the
So
machine
our
is
objective, Balu, is not the quantitative metric, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Our primary thing is the qualitative one.
Okay, so how much
Even
time
if for
the
my
various
example my
operators
die
take?
similarity is say 0.9, it doesn't make any difference to me if the time is not saved.
Okay, I got it.
Also,
You want other metrics also as to how much time is spent in modifying.
The time is a very important factor that we are capturing in our CRF, where we are asking you to report how much time it took to modify that thing. Because that is a true test of thing. Otherwise, what is the point of this system?
yeah, so we are trying to replicate your clinical workflow. You know, an auto-segmented solution will come to your desk. You will only modify what is required, and basically we want to check whether how much modification is required on the auto-segmentation. Because otherwise, what happens is that we all have our little different ways of doing things.
Yes.
And often, looking at the die similarity, you really have no idea about what is happening. So if you require less modification, like for example, if two of my trainees come to me with two contours, there will be certain slight differences between them. My job is to see what modifications are required. So we want to replicate that process. We
So
don't want
essentially,
to. Yeah.
it's a qualitative validation, and qualitative metrics will be assessed, and that is what you're going to report.
Yes, we will calculate the quantitative also.
Yes, but that's probably not
Yeah,
relevant.
because everybody is doing that, so we cannot leave it out. But our job will be for you to tell us, for example, that I don't think your anorectum is good. Yeah, so or it doesn't meet the way I do it, because we really want this to be useful for you. It's not just a mathematical exercise. You tell us what is bad with our thing, we will try to make it better. That's the whole point.
And that is why we mentioned the fact that we would be very happy to train your model on your data set, because that if you, for example, if you have a large enough curated data set, you may not want to use our structures at all. You may want to use your data set. Perfectly fine, go ahead, absolutely fine. So I think Dr. Pramod has a question, then Dr. Girish made a comment that 2 years is too much time for this study. It may be, but we are keeping it a conservative estimate of 2 years.
Yeah.
We expect that each center's time will be quite less, but by the time we get to the last center, we will, because we are not really a software company, so we can't install 15 centers in one day.
Sir, my question is as Sarvani ma'am has said, it may take around 2 to 4 months in our institute for getting this research and ethical clearance.
Yes.
Yes, first thing. Second, regarding this, is there any financial implications, like we have centers have to pay some charge or it's free of cost?
For the research purpose, no. For the study, why would you pay anything?
Okay.
No. We are in fact, as we discussed in the last meeting also,
Yeah.
we are looking for funding. Okay, we are looking for funding from trial, like maybe HCG, maybe some other agency, maybe ICMR, whatever it is. And we would like, if we get sufficient funding, we would like to even provide you with a study coordinator for
Okay.
doing this. We do not, no question of your center paying us any money.
Okay. Because that was the conclusion in many.
Yeah, if we don't get funding,
Okay.
then we will request that you do your part at no expense to us. Okay, so you're contouring and sending back, but we are trying very hard. We are like going for it. We are talking to everybody, etc., etc. We want to get funding for this, and we are hoping that participating centers we will try to help you.
Okay.
So Dr. Pooja Sethi from JIPMER has a question. Please go ahead, Dr. Pooja.
Dr. Santam, I understand that you are replicating you are making our task easy by auto segmentation. But just for the validation part, do we need to have TPS access? Can't we do it directly through the cloud, my desktop, and then you give access and we check the dice similarity over there?
Again, once more, we are not interested in the dice. The dice is for reporting purposes. It is not our primary objective. Our primary objective is to find out if this system integrates into your system, whether it will help you or not.
But only 2 companies are there, no? Like Electa and.
We are not competing with any company. Once more, we are not really a company to.
Our system means like the software providers now, Eclipse software or Electa, there will be another software. So how this integration is a problem? Like if you have done in your system, it means it is working. Integration is happening with that software, Eclipse.
No, the integration is happening, but what happens is, see, because when we are sending the RT struct back to you, whether it is Eclipse, whether it is Accuray, whether it is Electa, it doesn't matter, it will read it, right? That is not the important thing. The important thing is what you do after that. See, none of the automatic segmentation systems are perfect, right? They will not say that, okay, once I am done, you go ahead and plan. You will have to review it. Now,
so we need to give qualitative inputs.
Yes, that is the most important thing, because we want your inputs and tell us like what do you think this contour is like. If it's like complete sheet, then it is complete sheet. That's what we want to hear from you.
No, I think Pooja's question is basically this, that she's a little apprehensive that she may not get permission to install a client in her hospital. Is that what your concern is, Pooja?
Yes, this is a thing that it can delay the process, and we are actually like buying new machines and upgradation is happening. Then to the new software again, like that can be a problem in the meantime, because it is a two-year long study. So if now what system we have, maybe there will be some upgradation during.
No, but Dr. Pooja, I think that we do not need this software to integrate with your workflow. we what this software simply does is that that you just need to there will be one box in a form. Okay, in that box you just put the name of the folder where your CT scan images are coming. That's all. Okay, there is no need to contact any vendor at all. Right? So if your physics team will know that, because they only set it inside your TPS. In your TPS also, in the settings of the TPS, you need to point to the folder. You need to, by pointing to the folder, I mean that you need to give the C//users whatever that address, that location needs to be provided. Right?
One more question, sir. Like you told that slice by slice, we have to give a qualitative input. So whether that qualitative input will be taken like in the text format, or when I modify that itself, you are
No,
qualitative input is your comment. What
you
want
will provide it in a paper form.
paper to text
Yeah.
format. Like if I change the contour in some slide somewhere, that line you will not be able to see or catch.
No. What will happen is that you will, after you have made, you will first make a copy. So, for example, a structure set has come. Okay, so you will copy, make a duplicate. Right? That is one step. Two clicks, you will get a copy. You will then modify on the copied version. Say, for example, you change some sections of the anorectum contour. I'm just saying, right? Now, once you have finalized and approved that contour, right, or you are happy with that contour, that is for you the final version of the modification of all the structures that have been auto-segmented. You will, at some point, what you will do is that you will tell your physics staff or whatever that can you please export the auto-segmentation that came and my modification of it. These will be two different structure sets, and you will put them in a folder, right? Any folder inside your department. And at the end of, say, every week or every month or whatever, you will send us the exported auto-segmentation set and your modified set back to us for us to calculate the changes that you have made. And the dissimilarity coefficient and the Hausdorff or whatever those metrics are will be automatically calculated at our end using simple coding. So we will then share that information back to you at some point so that you also have that knowledge, right? So that is a step that is going to happen for the, say for example, your center does 150 cases. So within the study time period, now that study time period of, this is for Dr. Girish also, is just a notional time. Okay, we do not expect that it will take two years for this to complete. When we approach a funding body, we have to tell them that how long do we need funding for? Okay, what is the purpose of the funding, etc. So for the process of that description, we kept the study period to be 2 years. It is entirely possible that if we have, say, 15-16 partners in this study, and you are all busy centers, so maybe that in 2-3 months we have 1,000 cases, right? And then the study is done. We just do the calculation, we report it. That's it, right? So
actually, for the segmentation part, it will take much lesser time than doing all the other work. Getting the qualitative, getting the data set back for the quantitative, cleaning the data. Means when you actually do this work, you will realize there are many things that happen in between.
My question was, like from nuclear medicine also, we get the CDs. From CDSIM also we get the CD whenever we want radio diagnosis opinion. So we have access to the prospective patient CDs. So if without the TPS involvement itself.
No, you don't need the TPS. Again, we are trying to tell you something. Say for example, you want to get the CDs. You designate a particular computer folder. separate from your TPS, whatever it is.
So
And you say,
without
okay,
that also-
you
without-
just copy it in that folder and keep it. And our system will just pull from that folder and do it for you. Okay, so you don't have to, I know what you're worried about, Dr. Pooja. I understand your worry. Your worry is a genuine worry. You are worried that, somebody will say you cannot access that folder, somebody will, that is perfectly understandable. If you want, if for example in JIPMER, they say that okay, we will not give access to that particular folder, you designate a separate folder. You copy manually, you ask your physics team to copy the CT scanner images to that folder, only the ones that you want for the study, and our system will read that only. It will not touch your usual workflow. But then what you'll have to do is once it comes back and pushes the structure set file back into that particular folder, your physics team will then have to manually again copy it back or import it from this folder. Okay, so it will be more manual work for your physics team. But if that makes them feel safer, then absolutely that is fine with us.
And sir, that anatomical bone marrow contribution is also there in your supplementation.
We currently have a model which is for gynae, which does pelvic and lumbar separate. But technically, if you have a data set which is already curated, we can actually train a new model for that. As I mentioned, like we can train models based on the data set that you provide, whether it is CT, whether it is MR, PET, we can do that.
So that, like, for example, now for almost 80 cases, we have done manual anatomical bone marrow.
Please provide us with the data, we will be very happy to train the model. And it can be used by anyone in the country.
Okay. So this we have to take out from the TPS.
Yes. Export, de-identify, export and de-identify. That the de-identification step is important before we take it from you. We will be providing a software for that.
Because it takes, for each case for bone marrow elimination, anatomical, it takes almost 1.5 months.
Yeah, I know. You will get it back in 5 minutes.
Yes.
There is one caveat here. The caveat is that your training data has to be good. If the training data is not of good quality, the model performance will also not be that good.
But it will be a good starting point, Dr. Pooja. That is fantastic. I mean, if you can provide us with that thing, we will create a model for you, and you can then put it in your template, and all the subsequent cases will get auto-segmented. Because it is trained on your usual practice, I am reasonably sure that the output will be quite satisfactory for you.
Okay, now I think let me open the queue once more. Dr. Anand Narayan. Dr. Anand, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for this wonderful initiative, Dr. Shantam and Pradeep. And I am Dr. Anand from Coimbatore KMCH. So we have been brainstorming from the last KDC was the meeting, and I have a couple of questions, basically on the methodology part. So just to quickly go through this, I just want to reiterate what the methodology is. Just let me know whether it's what I'm saying is right or wrong. So I get a data set, or we have a data set. We put it through your the cloud software, right? And then we get a set of contours. And in the qualitative part of the study, we just have to tell whether we need modification, minor or major. That's it, right?
Right.
And from
the time you need to make those modifications.
Okay. So how do we do that?
By doing the modifications. you will
Okay.
do the
So then we
modifications.
do the modification from the contour set, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
When you won't start with a blank slate.
My question is, so does it not put some anchor thing in your mind, like I am just starting from an already contour thing?
You are talking about an anchor bias, right?
Yeah,
that is there. It will be there for any auto segmentation solution. That will be there. That is why we are distributing the study. Otherwise, we would have done it in our center and be done with it.
No. Actually, Dr. Anand, you have a valid point. That your point is that instead of contouring from scratch, why are you giving us a set of contours that is going to bias our view? But specifically chose to do that because your usual workflow with any auto segmentation solution is going to be like this, whether it's this one or any other vendor, right? So when you buy, say suppose instead of using this, you buy something from Varian or GE or whatever, yeah, and then they will automatically segment, and you will have to go and change those, right? You're not going to draw from the beginning. So we want to replicate that process because it is that process which will become the future process anyway, whether we like it or not. Yeah.
But in that case, that's something that's already in the market, probably validated with whatever it is, and then we are using it, right? Here we are trying to validate it, and if you are validating based on already available contours, don't you think we will buy it?
Validation studies are more or less like this.
Okay.
In fact, in the process of trying to create a lecture that I had to do at Estro, I was searching for validation studies, and most of these vendors have not published any validation study. What they have done is that they've taken the data from some institution or from TCIA or some open web resource, and they have done it, and they will give it to you. They are not going to provide you any information on where it has been validated, how many patients, what was the the methodology used, and how it was done, etc. So the thing is that what you basically need to do is you need to 2-3 years down the line, every auto segmentation will be ubiquitous. Everybody will have, and your process will be like this. So we thought that if we make you, say for example, we make you validate and we make you contour everything from the beginning, that is more work for you.
Right.
So we thought that this is because we are basically requesting our colleagues and friends to participate in validating something for us. So we don't want to make their job more difficult by making them do everything from scratch. And there will be structures, believe me, where you will have to do it from scratch. There will be smaller structures, etc., where you may feel that no, this is not good. So in that case, you will just
delete it and
integrated data set. You will delete that, and you will clear all, and you will do it from scratch again. And then in the qualitative form, you will say that this was absolute rubbish.
Okay.
And again, that is what we want to hear from you. We want to know what is on point. Yeah.
Got it. So got it. So that's the qualitative part, and the quantitative part will be taken care of in the back end, right? It's not from the client side.
No. It is not from the client. Is not designed for the validation, quantitative part and all those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So second question is, do we have any specific number of cases for every subsite in mind? Like
No.
we need so many head and necks.
But practically what will happen, we understand that we are not going to get 100 Wilms tumor.
Right.
Yeah, we will probably have 300 breast, maybe 250 head neck, the usual practice pattern.
Okay. So it doesn't matter whether from a center like us, we are providing a skewed kind of data set. It doesn't matter for you.
No. See, let me put it this way. Like for example, out of the 100 cases that you provide only 90 bone palliative cases. Let me just give an example. That is a very different thing altogether. But I presume you will have like a mix of maybe 30 head neck, maybe 20 breast, maybe 1 cervix, like that.
But we don't have any number, a specific number in mind, like so many cases.
No, we realize that we have made our for the quantitative, for the sample size calculation, we have such a narrow confidence margin with 1000 cases that even if that confidence margin increases a little bit, it has no impact on the actual thing. And it is a minimum 1000 cases, which means that we don't necessarily need to stop. We can, if we find that, for example, only 2 sites have sent us cervix. Okay, we can ask you to send a few more cases. there is nothing, I mean, as long as it's within the period of the study, we can actually technically go on. Unless it is, we can't do 10,000 cases because there is an inference cost. Every time something is gone to AutoControl, there is a cloud charge, and that charge we cannot go indefinitely. We cannot give you 1,000 cases per center, but it is.
Got it. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Dr. Hanna and TMH IT again had a question.
Yeah, from TMH IT.
Yes, please.
Just one question is outside the IT domain, of course. I just wanted to ask you that I remember that during the formative years we used to use computational geometry to segment images. I mean, 40 years before. So today deep learning, and I'm very happy to see that you have actually implemented those things, segmentations. So what are the typical data size that you had for these CNN models?
The largest one we had was around 180 cases.
180
cases.
180 cases. I mean, looks to be very small, but
the performance actually surprised us. We also thought initially that we would need 500, 600 cases. We were pleasantly surprised by the performance in our small data set. The prostate one was actually trained with 80 or something like that. 60.
Yes. So actually the data set size is only one
parameter. Actually, we have realized the quality of the data set matters more.
Yeah, variability, right?
No, the quality. What it means is that you must adhere to the guideline. That is very difficult to do. If you are delineating up to the third intercostal space, it has to be third intercostal space for all 60. That is where the problem lies.
Yeah. Also, it depends on the image also, in the sense that, say for example, you have a structure where the boundary is very clear. Yeah. So the deep learning model finds it easy to draw that structure. If it is a fuzzy structure, it makes it more difficult. Yeah. So we expect that for some structures in the future, we have done organs at risk and some clinical target volumes. When we aim to introduce new models, new structures which are a bit more complex, then we will need a few more cases, etc. So we are also, experiencing this for the first time, but we don't need a lot of cases to train many things.
That's very nice. And do you see any application in 3D in medical science?
3D what?
In 3D, suppose I constructed 3D image.
Okay.
And auto segmentation in the 3D because the
the data set that we segment on is a 3D data set.
Yes. So this is 3D units basically.
Okay. Understood. Image is 3D.
Yes, the image itself is 3D.
So all the 2D slices get converted into a 3D array, and that it is that which is successful.
Oh, fine. Nice.
Thank you. Dr. Hanna, you had a question, and maybe Dr. Anand also had a question. Their hands are raised.
I think I understood from the previous conversations that this is just validating the trained 3D CNN models that TMH has created. But at some point, are these models going to be accessible to other centers as an open source model at any point after the validation? That's one question. And the data that's being provided in terms of the quantitative analysis, again, does it flow back to the de-identification, same system again? So you're doing it twice?
No, not really. For the first question regarding the provenance of the model after the validation study is concerned, we think it is quite early for us to comment on it at this stage because we have lot of hurdles, administrative and regulatory, to cross before we come to that point.
Okay, understood.
That's one. Regarding your second question, whether the de-identified data flows back to the client, the answer is no. The client system is not designed to handle quantitative validation. So we will be providing you with the Chavi DDIS. You already have it in your system, HANA. So what we will be requesting you is to basically de-identify the data set, and we haven't really decided whether we will put it here, whether we'll do it locally, but one of the things will happen which will basically be used to extract the quantity matrix from your data set. Now regarding whether we will use the data set for the training, the answer is no. Unless we have your explicit permission, we are not going to use any data set from any center for any model training.
Okay, thank you so much.
For validation both CT and yes, we recently trained a brain MRI model. So we would be very happy if you have a MR model that you want us to train. It is quite interesting. Okay, I think yes, Dr. Aparna. Yes, please, Dr. Aparna, please go ahead.
So this segmentation will be done for OERs alone, or?
No, we do targets in some cases. See, there are areas where we don't have CTV models yet. But what happens is that this is an evolving process. What happens is that essentially we are limited by the number of data sets that we can curate. If you have like 10 centers curating data sets, then we can actually train models much faster.
So CTV will be different, sir, based on the click history and findings too.
It will be. So, you know, it is not going to be a solution that segments everything. Let me put it this way. I don't think it will ever come to that scenario, because that is a very difficult thing to do. But we are targeting that at least 90% of your work would get completed. That is what our target is.
And one more question, is there any specification for the CT that we are doing?
No, we would want to actually use your CT, because that will help us to understand how our model performs in your CT.
The whole point of doing this is to check on various different kinds of CT scanners, slightly different slice thicknesses, etc., etc. That is the whole point of doing the validation. We might find that it is not working well for a certain situation, and that is what that will help us do, is that we can then request separately in a different, some cases from you to train, etc., etc. So the validation, it's not necessary that the validation study will be a tremendous success for every center. Yeah. So but that is the whole point of testing. We can just test it on one center and say it is fantastic. But when you use it, then it doesn't work. So that we don't want that to happen. We want to test it properly, which is why we want to test it in some center.
Okay, I think I can't see any more questions. Is there any other question? Yes, Dr. Hassan, please go ahead. Doctor, yes, please.
Yes, sir. So during validation study, so all those data are you used for the model training or not? Because let's suppose if yes, then you know that during image acquisition time, energy is different from different centers, slice thickness is different. So this
no, as I mentioned to Dr. Hana some time ago, we are not planning to use the validation data set for model training unless you tell us to do. It is entirely possible that you say, okay, now I have worked hard on these 100 cases, please train a new model for me. We will do, but we don't anticipate that we will use the entire validation data set for a new model training. Let me put it this way.
In fact, what we do want to do is not use it. We want to test whether our system is being able to safely delete all your data. Yeah, that is the whole point. We don't want your data to stay in any way in our system. Only when you specifically ask and give us a curated, similar cases with the same names and everything, that is when we will, and make a specific request, we will then train them.
Okay, so basically you wanted to check whether those models are generalized or not.
Yes, correct. During. Yes.
Thank
you. Thank you. So, I don't think there are any further questions. So thank you everybody who stuck around till that time. We will be sharing the recording of this meeting soon. And if you have any queries, you please feel free to email us. We will be sharing the protocol also with you, and we will also share a request for sending us a letter of support to join the study.
Thanks, Santosh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.